You wake up and something feels different today. Not different bad, different good. That specific kind of good that only traders know, the feeling of clarity after chaos. Because yesterday was rough. Yesterday you took losses you shouldn't have taken, held positions too long, made decisions you knew were wrong while you were making them. Yesterday was one of those days where you closed the platform feeling like maybe this whole thing isn't for you. But last night you did something about it. You went back through the charts. You studied the price action. You identified exactly where you went wrong and why. You refined the entry criteria. You wrote it down. You told yourself, tomorrow I go in with fresh eyes and a better plan. And for the first time in a few days you actually feel ready. You make coffee. You sit down. You open the platform and the charts load and price is moving and you feel it, that quiet hum of focus. Today is going to be different. The first setup appears within 20 minutes. It looks good. Not perfect but good enough, and besides, you've refined the strategy now, you understand it better than you did yesterday, so your read on what qualifies has improved. You enter. Price moves in your direction for a few minutes. You feel the first wave of confirmation. See, today is different. Then it stalls. Then it pulls back. Not enough to hit your stop, but enough to make you uncomfortable. You watch it. You tell yourself to trust the process. Pushes again, makes a small new high and you breathe. Then it reverses hard. Your stop gets hit. First loss of the day. You sit back. Okay. That's fine. Losses are part of the game. You refined the strategy last night. Maybe that setup was a marginal one, the next one will be cleaner. You wait. 40 minutes later another setup forms. This one looks better. Cleaner. More in line with what you wrote down last night. You enter with a little more confidence this time. Price moves sideways for 10 minutes then drops straight through your stop. 2 losses. You're down on the day. The feeling from this morning, that clarity, that freshness, it's already fading. You can feel the tightness starting in your chest. You open your notes from last night and read back through them, and they still make sense, the logic is still there, so what is happening? You decide to take a break. Make more coffee. Come back with fresh eyes. You come back. You look at the chart. There's been a move while you were away. A move that would have been profitable, a move that fits your criteria, and you missed it. The frustration sharpens. You start looking for the next entry with a little more urgency now. Not desperation. Just urgency. The third trade loses too. You sit there staring at the screen and the thought that arrives is not logical. The thought is, I figured this out last night. I did the work. I was supposed to be better today. Why is this still happening? Sound familiar? I'm going to tell you something that took me years to understand. And when I finally understood it, everything changed. Not my strategy. Not my entries. Not my risk management system. Everything. The problem was never what I thought it was. Every losing streak I ever went through, and there were many, I responded the same way. I went back to the charts. I studied. I refined. I adjusted. I came back with a better plan, and sometimes it helped in the short term, but the same cycles kept returning. Because I was solving for the wrong problem. I was always trying to make the strategy better. Tighter entries. More confluence. Better timing. And the strategy did improve over time. But improving the strategy never fixed the real issue. Because the real issue wasn't the strategy. The real issue was why I was trading. And I mean that in the deepest sense. Not why I traded as a career choice. I mean what I was actually trying to get from the market every single day when I sat down. What need I was trying to fill. What I was really after. And the honest answer, the one I didn't want to look at for a long time, was this. I was trying to make money to feel okay. I was using the market as a measuring stick for my own worth on any given day. A profitable day meant I was capable, intelligent, on the right path. A losing day meant the opposite. And that relationship with trading, where the outcome of each session determined how I felt about myself, was poisoning every single decision I made. When you need the trade to win, you cannot trade well. That's not a mindset tip. That's just true. When the outcome of a trade carries emotional weight beyond the money, when a loss feels like evidence of something about you rather than just a data point in a probabilistic system, your brain cannot function as a trader. It functions as a person trying to protect their identity. And those are two completely different operating modes. A trader looks at a setup and asks, does this qualify? Does the risk make sense? Is the reward realistic? What's the plan if it goes wrong? And then they execute, and they genuinely do not mind which way it goes because they trust that over a large enough sample size their edge will show up. A person protecting their identity looks at a setup and asks, is this going to work? Please let this work. I need this one. And that energy, subtle as it is, changes everything about how the trade is managed. You close winners early because you need the confirmation of a win. You hold losers too long because you cannot accept the loss right now. You enter setups that don't fully qualify because you need to be in the market, need to be doing something, need to feel like today isn't already lost. The market doesn't respond to need. It doesn't care how much you want a trade to work. It doesn't give you a win because you did your homework the night before or because you deserve a break after a hard week. It just moves. And if your decision-making is contaminated by emotional need, the market will extract that from you with complete indifference. So what changes when you stop trying to make money? I know how that sounds. I know it sounds like a riddle or a motivational poster. But stay with me because this is the thing that actually shifted everything. When I stopped trading to make money and started trading to execute well, the first thing that changed was what I measured. I stopped measuring sessions by profit and loss. I started measuring them by process quality. Did I follow my criteria? Did I manage risk correctly? Did I cut the loser when I was supposed to? Did I stay out when there was nothing there? Did I make decisions from a calm, logical place, or was I being pushed around by emotion? A session where I followed the process perfectly and lost money became a good session. A session where I made money but deviated from the process became a session to examine and correct. That inversion sounds small. It is not small. It rewired the entire feedback loop. Because here's what happens when you only measure yourself by profit and loss. You reinforce the wrong behaviors. You take a sloppy trade, it wins, your brain logs that as a success. The behavior gets reinforced even though the decision was poor. You take a perfect trade, it loses, your brain logs that as a failure. The correct behavior gets punished. Over time, this creates a trader whose instincts are built on noise rather than signal. A trader whose gut feel is trained on random outcomes rather than quality decisions. When you measure process instead, the feedback loop corrects itself. Good decisions get reinforced because you mark them as wins regardless of outcome. Poor decisions get examined even when they happen to make money. Your instincts slowly recalibrate toward the behaviors that actually produce long-term consistency. This is not a passive thing. It requires actively sitting down after every session and asking the hard questions. Not, did I make money today? But, did I trade well today? And being ruthlessly honest about the answer. The second thing that changed was my relationship with losing trades. When I was trading to make money, a losing trade was a threat. It was evidence that the day was going wrong, that I was behind, that I needed to compensate. It triggered urgency. And urgency in trading is almost always destructive. When I started trading to execute well, a losing trade became exactly what it is. A trade that lost. One data point. Expected. Accounted for in the system. The stop loss was placed for a reason. The risk was sized for a reason. The loss is simply the cost of participating in a game where no outcome is certain. You pay it and you move on. That detachment, genuine detachment, not the pretend detachment of telling yourself you're okay while your jaw is clenched. That detachment is only possible when the loss doesn't threaten something deeper than your account balance. When you're not trading to feel capable. When the loss is just a loss. The third thing that changed was my patience. When I needed the market to give me something, I found setups everywhere. Every candle that moved with any conviction looked like an opportunity. Every quiet period felt like something I should be positioned for. I was always hunting, always leaning forward, always a little desperate. When I let go of that need, the market slowed down. Not literally, but in my experience of it. I could sit and watch for an hour and feel nothing pulling me toward a trade. I could see a move happen without me and not feel the lurch of missing out. I could identify a setup that was almost right and leave it alone because almost right is not right. That patience, the ability to do nothing without it feeling like failure, that is where your actual edge lives. Every unnecessary trade you don't take is capital preserved for the real setup. Every marginal entry you pass on is psychological energy saved for the moment that genuinely qualifies, and the moments that genuinely qualify do appear. But only those who haven't exhausted themselves on the ones that didn't are ready to act on them with full size and full conviction. I want to come back to that morning at the beginning. You sitting down with your refined strategy and your fresh eyes, ready for a better day. Nothing about that picture is wrong. The preparation is right. The intention is right. The willingness to learn from the previous day is right. What needs to change is the question underneath it all. The question driving everything. If the question is, how do I make money today? You will carry that need into every decision and it will compromise every decision. If the question is, how do I execute my process well today? You free yourself from the outcome. You free yourself from the need. And paradoxically, you create the conditions in which real, consistent profitability actually becomes possible. The traders who make money over years. The ones who build something real rather than cycling through hot streaks and blown accounts, they are not the ones who wanted it most. They are not the ones who studied hardest or sat at the screen longest or refined their strategy most obsessively. They are the ones who found a way to trade without needing the trade to save them. When you stop needing the market to give you something, you stop giving the market power over you. And that shift, quiet, invisible, internal, is the one that changes everything. Not the strategy you refined last night. Not the entry criteria you tightened. Not the indicator you removed or the time frame you switched to. You. The version of you that sits down tomorrow not to make money, but to trade well. That version is the one that finally does both.